Next, we're going to hear from Dr. Ruth Carmichael, who's been mentioned a couple different times this evening. Dr. Carmichael is a senior marine scientist at the Dauphin Island Sea Lab, and she's a professor of marine science at the University of South Alabama. She has been recruiting interns and students as part of a research program for the NSF-funded Research Experience for Undergraduates, or REU, programs for over 20 years. For the past 4 years, she's been the director of the REU program at DISL, and she's also the principal investigator for multiple GOMRI-funded projects, including the Consortium for the Advanced Research of Marine Mammal Health and Assessment, or CARMA. So welcome, Ruth, and thanks for joining us. And I believe you had a couple slides you wanted to share with us. You're on mute right now, Ruth.
Thank you. I do have some slides. I'll go ahead and share my screen with you guys now. I'm really pleased to be able to follow up on some of the topics that have already been sort of highlighted, particularly by Tina and by Ken, and be able to talk about the opportunities for research training to students and professionals as a result of our GOMRI funding and through our research projects. We've had, as Missy said, a number of projects funded under GOMRI during the past decade, including some of the first work we had funded was with oysters, and Dr. Hollich also mentioned this. And our work was sort of taking the research a little bit different perspective and looking to see if food web entry could be an alternative fate for oil during and following the spill. And if you look at the, this work is largely already published, but if you just look at the list of co-authors, I want to draw your attention here to Amanda Jones, who is now Amanda Knobloch, who was actually one of our research experience for undergraduate students who got an opportunity to work on this project while she wasn't directly funded by GOMRI. She was funded through the NSF-RU program. She opted to do this work for her project. She has subsequently gone on to the Virginia Institute for Marine Sciences, and she got her PhD, and she is actually now a scientist, a biologist working with the Patuxent Environmental and Aquatic Research Laboratory. So that's just one example of a student who's now gone on to subsequent things. And so I'm excited to get a chance to talk not just about those students and those staffers who were directly funded by GOMRI, but also those folks who were sort of the derivative or subsequent experiences and opportunities that were provided by this funding, and how that's helped us to basically do what you asked me to do, which is talk about our training the next generation of students. Also here, Dr. Heather Patterson. She was actually a graduate student in my lab at the time this work was done, and part of this work became her dissertation. There's also a number of PIs here who are from institutions in Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana, and also a postdoc was involved in this work as well. And this was ultimately combined with other work that was done in Louisiana by Dr. Tom Soniat and was featured in GOMRI newsletter to sort of pull all of our research together and understand the impacts to oysters in our region. And then this work went on to allow us to do derivative studies on physiology in oysters. And this work also is published and was led by, again, Dr. Heather Patterson, who is now a postdoc and an instructor at the University of Alabama at Birmingham. I did want to mention also this work, as Ken alluded to, Holenich in his presentation, seeded a subsequent project that's now funded through the Restore program, looking at oysters as bioindicators, and that work is also training a master's level student, was useful in training about a dozen paid and unpaid interns who rotated through our lab during the past 2 summers, and also was picked up by another one of our REU students this past summer, and as part of her project for that program, and she rolled that into an honors thesis at her home institution, which is Judson College here in Alabama. She's a student from one of our Marine Environmental Sciences Consortium schools. And so again, we've been able to use this sort of springboard from the original GOMRI funding to provide opportunities still now to our students here in the state of Alabama. And then as Missy mentioned, we also have a project funded as part of the Consortium for Advanced Research on Marine Mammal Health and Assessment, or the CARMA project. And I invite you guys to check out our website. This is a really cool website. You can see some really neat videos about work that we've been doing through this program. And our component of this work was, again, looking at food web interactions. And I do invite you to go to the website because there's too many collaborators here. I can't even begin to recognize all of them, and they deserve recognition. But primarily this was a collaboration with Dauphin Island Sea Lab, the Marine Mammal Foundation, and NOAA, and a number of other collaborators. But our early work on this involved methods development, and this work also directly funded a postdoc who's still in my lab, Dr. Carl Cloyd, and you'll hear from him a little bit later. But this work also brought in, it allowed us to sort of cross-seed and cross-pollinate projects, brought in 2 other students in my lab who are graduate students to get this initial publication out. And then we've subsequently got 3 other publications that are either in revision or in review right now that are following up on this work. And I've also brought in a number of other students and technicians and staff members from my lab, as well as from all of our consortial institutions. And then I want to spend a little bit of time, again, talking about some of these other sort of cross-pollinating kinds of things we've been able to do. One of the things in collecting the prey species data for our component of this marine mammal work, we dovetailed with my marine invertebrate zoology course that's taught out of the Dauphin Island Sea Lab. And here we were able to bring in students from all over the state of Alabama, from any of our 23 public and private universities in the state who take courses at the Sea Lab during the summer. And they were out on the boat, they were getting themselves muddy and getting their hands wet, helping us collect the samples that ultimately went into this project and became part of those publications. And then we also had 2 students, who I'm showing you here on the right, who were paid interns on our Gomery work. And these were post-bachelor degree students, Clara Zubrick and Matthew Harrison. And they got a chance to come in and spend the summer specifically working on this project. And Clara Zubrick now works with the Weeks Bay Reserve. And so she stayed here. We retained her here in our state. And then Matthew went back to his home state of Texas. And then also some of those derivative impacts of this work, we were able to provide cross-training to members of our program who are with the Alabama Marine Mammal Stranding Network and Dauphin Island Sea Lab's Manatee Sighting Network, who, you know, really it benefits us to get these opportunities to work with live animals. So through this collaboration, these folks got a chance to go to Sarasota, to Louisiana, and to work right here in our own backyard and get live animal health assessment training experience. And this helped to train our technicians, graduate students. This is our stranding coordinator, Mackenzie Russell, and at the time, our assistant stranding coordinator, Mary Collins, and also our network veterinarian. And so these folks provided, you know, tangible manpower to this project, but also got really valuable career development experiences. And Mary Collins has now gone on to a PhD program at George Mason University. She's in a wildlife program there. And Dr. Alyssa Deming is now with the Pacific Marine Mammal Center doing clinical work. She's the director for clinical studies there. So these folks have, you know, and the rest of them are still here with us, which is really exciting. So we've been able to see some really tangible benefits of these programs that have extended beyond those folks who were directly funded by the Gomery, and have also, you know, been able to result in subsequent research projects and are ongoing participating and contributing to our ongoing research every day. So I just want to get a chance to share that with you as some examples, and I'm sure there are many, many others who have many more examples like these throughout Alabama and also throughout the Gulf. And also just to recognize my team who really does all the hard work, so I get a chance to talk to you guys about it. So thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Ruth. That was actually really in depth, and you answered a lot of the questions that I had posed to you.